Um, moving on from Tottenham. There's a story today, Alfie, that Arsenal were linked with a move for Liverpool's Luis Diaz. Would you be happy if that was a big part of your summer transfer window? Luis Diaz from Liverpool to Arsenal?
Well, he certainly brings a lot of quality. I mean, I'd be lying if I said that Luis Diaz wasn't a good player. I think he provides a very, very good service down the left-hand side. He'd certainly be an improvement on what we've got down the left-hand side at the moment. And when I do talk about that, I talk about the likes of Leandro Trossard. But at the end of the day, it's all rumours. And the amount of times I've seen other Arsenal fans on Twitter saying, "Oh, we're going to get this player, we're going to get that player." My only response is to say, I'll believe it when I see it. Because how many times have we were linked to Marmoush before we got the move to Man City? How many times have we seen it before?
I listen, I hear you on that, and I know that a lot of people have that stance. I love a transfer story. I like the excitement of it. I like the will he or won't he. I also like the debate around whether you think they're good enough for your team or not. I think my generation, and Wolfie's probably the only one here that's really my age. That's how transfer stories were always handled, especially on holiday. When we were younger and we'd go on holiday, you'd be around the pool in Spain or Turkey or wherever it may be. And the only way you got football news was the newspapers, but they were 3 days old when they arrived in those countries. And you'd read the back of the Mirror and it would say Man United are linked to Rooney. You'd be like, oh, wow, I hope we get him. And then every day you're rushing to the shop to see if there's been an update. But you spend the rest of the day around the pool with like other people talking. And would you like him? Where would he play? And I still love that element. Tom, though, you were laughing.
CFAX as well, mate, and Club Call. Pound a minute, yeah.
CFAX was the one, mate. These kids don't realize they're so easy now. But Tom, you were sort of laughing at that link. How happy would you be if Luis Diaz left your Liverpool and joined Arsenal? Tell us.
Oh no, Terry, I'd be so gutted. But how would we ever replace his 3 months without a goal? You know, we'd struggle so much without his 9 goals in 29 games. At 28 as well. Let's bear that in mind. Please, he was linked with a move to City last summer, and that turns out it was in a potential swap deal for Julian Alvarez, and we said no because we're idiots. That would have been brilliant because I don't rate Luis Diaz. The man is 28. His end product is inconsistent at best. His dribbling is massively overrated. He's only called a good dribbler because he's from South America. His passing, if he ever passes, isn't great. Can't remember the last time he got an assist off a cross. He is a good runner. He'll track back loads. So, you know, if Arteta wants to form a back 9, he'll be back there at left back. Don't worry about that. The man is 29 next season, I think. So, you know, it's not like you're getting someone with room to grow. This is what you've got. You've got a guy who will go 3 to 4 months in a season without a goal. And this season he's been playing up front for us. This season he's played on the left for us. He's not a very good... I want a rival to take him. I want a rival to give me 60 million quid for Luis Diaz. I would feel like how Chelsea felt when Arsenal bought Havertz. I would feel like how... I don't know. Arsenal or whoever felt when... You know, when you see
yeah, I mean, like when you sold Torres to Chelsea.
yeah, it would be. Luis Diaz has this weird reputation that he's this incredible winger. I've watched this man play for 3 before the injury he got against Arsenal a couple of years ago. Yeah. Now he's not that.
The quoted price from the source is 37 million.
You know what? I'd be making me money back on him. Unless Saudi come in and give me mega money, I'm not going to turn my nose down at. You know, we could probably get up to 45. I would take 45 for this version of Luis Diaz that I've got.
Problem is, you got a full rebuild needed up front. If you were to lose him, if Salah were to go, Nunes, you lot tell everyone isn't good enough.
Wolfie, I think that's the direction we're going. I think that we've won the league this year. So the guys in charge, Edwards and Hughes and that, they're going to look at it and go, well, we can let the guys who run out of contracts go. They've got their farewell. They've got the best farewell they could ask for. We get those wages back. We can sell all these players. That's
a massive squad overhaul, though.
It is, Sonny, but this is what Edwards wanted to do when he was our director of football, when Klopp was in charge. But back then, Jurgen Klopp had the power to veto. So right after we won the league, there was two things that happened. COVID happened, which meant we couldn't sell Sadio Mane. We were going to sell Sadio Mane for upwards of 100 million quid. And then that was going to be spent across 3 or 4 positions. And Edwards wanted to get rid of Jordan Henderson and Wijnaldum and bring in Bruno Guimaraes. But Klopp pulled the plug on that one himself, and he went, no, you're giving Henderson a new contract. And he ended up on 180 grand a week. That's by the by. But now there's no one to tell Michael Edwards, no. There's no one to tell him stop, because everything that this football club does is yes or no by him. So he's now got the complete control that he wants. I do think that you'll see a big overhaul. I think the only position that you're not going to see, or the only area that you're not going to see a big overhaul in, we have no need to touch goalkeeper, and we have no need to touch midfield, bar potentially one young defensive-minded guy.
Do you think Kelleher will go?
Kelleher will go. I'll put it this way here. I think that ignoring the guys who are out of contract, because that's up in the air, even though I think they'll go. Sellable assets for Liverpool are Kelleher, Tsimikas, Gomez, Elliott, Endo, Nunes, Jota, Diaz. I think every single one of them.
What about Chiesa?
Can be sold. Chiesa could go. Chiesa could stay. He's 12 million quid. It's not really a big thing. Kanate could go. I think the club want to keep him, but he could go if he's not willing to sign a new deal. There's not really many players in
It's
the.
just really risky, though, isn't it, to get rid of all those players in one.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not saying they also, like,
Mm.
putting them all up for sale.
It is really risky, but I also think that this league title gives them the time to do it, because they'll sit there and go, well, you had your league title a couple of years ago. You know, we've got a buy now. We've got an element of give from the fans where we can have the time to get this project done without there being the constant looming of you need a league title now. They'll sit there and think we can take 2 years to build this squad up and get the right players in. Whereas if we hadn't won a trophy this year, the pressure would be there to where you're going, right, well, Liverpool, we need a league title soon. We need a top honour soon. The fact that there's a league title won in Arne Slott's first year, I would still expect trophies, by the way, but there'll be a belief within the club that we don't need to get one next year. That league title will carry us over for a bit.
I guess you'd have to sign, like, I know you said, obviously, you put them to one side, but then you've got to keep that spine then. You've got to give Van Dijk, Trent, and Salah a new contract, because then you've still got that winning mentality. They've all been amazing this season. Maybe Trent, on the fence. But, if you're getting rid of those other players, then you've got to keep them, definitely, because then otherwise you're getting into 7, 8, 9 outs.
Yeah, so it's two separate things. Those players that I mentioned, they're not necessarily used much by the manager. So they're squad players that you could move on, bring in first teamers, and then turn some of the other guys into squad players. With Van Dijk, Trent, and Salah, Liverpool have an awful lot of contracts and an awful lot of key contracts expiring in 2027. If we were to give Van Dijk, Salah, and Trent, even though I don't think Trent wants it anyway, but if we were to give Van Dijk and Salah the money that they're after, which is 450 grand a week, which they deserve, our wage bill, which has been so closely monitored since FSG walked in the door, goes boom. Because every single other player who is important to this team wants mega money. I think Edwards, Hughes, FSG, whoever it is, are looking at this as a chance to get that wage bill back under control and to put a hard cap on it again. Because before Salah got his 350 grand a week deal, the hard cap was 220. No one went above 220. We had the likes of Sadio Mane putting up 25 goal seasons on 110 grand a week.
Do you know what you also got? And remember, you're heavily bonus laden, so there is whenever the bonuses for this season are paid, whether that comes on the next year's accounts or this year's, you guys will skyrocket to you're already one of the biggest wage payers in the Premier League in terms of percentage of your income. It's going to jump up massively because a lot of your players have huge bonuses. And I hear what you're saying about your side of things. Is Luis Diaz better than Martinelli? Would he improve your team in that way, in your opinion?
Well, I mean, I would have said that, but after listening to what Thomas said about how he's not really been delivering as far as goals.
Don't listen to me, Alfie. He's a 60, 70 million quid footballer, mate.
I am now.
Yeah, but then again, obviously as Terry said, that the asking price is £37 million, but knowing how stupid Arsenal are, we'd overpay. But I look at Luis Diaz. Yes, on his day, he could probably do something as a club, as a player. But at the same time, my whole idea is I want players in my team that are going to give me the best opportunity to win trophies, which is why me and a lot of other Arsenal fans, and they're probably too afraid to speak up, they want a lot of players out, and I agree with a lot of the players that they're saying that need to go. But I'd probably say if you're not going to, I wouldn't say Luis Diaz would be an improvement, but he definitely gives Martinelli something to think about, because at the moment, I feel like he's taken his position for granted and he hasn't really been performing the way I know he can.
Do you not think, though, when you've got a fully fit squad, Trossard's already kind of giving Martinelli like competition? I personally think Arsenal need someone better than Diaz. I think that left wing, the number 9, and a creative midfielder, those are the 3 final pieces to win the league. I don't think Diaz comes in and you win the league with his output.
I feel like with Trossard, I feel like a lot of his problem is in especially this season. I've seen that Trossard is a lot much better when he comes off the bench. If you see him when he starts, he doesn't really play with the same spark and energy that he's got if you bring him on with about 15, 20 minutes to go. But you never know.
What Arsenal need to do is stop buying players with like that Arteta wants to fix. They need to go out and go like you did with Rice. You went right, put the money on the table, get Nico Williams from Bilbao, or even like try and test like Mbuemo or someone like that. Someone who's going to come in and be like, "Wow, that's a star. You made a statement." Because I think you were on the right track there. And then last summer, with Sterling,
but if I'm an Arsenal fan, if the first person through that door is not a number 9, I'm rioting. It has to be a number 9. It's been too long. We
haven't had a proper bagsman since Aubameyang walked out the door, and over the past few seasons, Arteta's been given a lot of money. Yet we're still buying players as if we're fighting for 8th place. I mean, what club challenging for a league title goes and spends money on Calafiori? Not many.
You need more.
Considering he was very highly rated last year. A lot of big teams want to count. I mean, if you're after number 9, Luis Diaz played number 9 this season. He scored 2 against Tottenham as a 9.
I think the biggest mistake Arteta made, and look, it is a mistake, is the club said we're only spending X amount in the summer. I think that was wrong. They should have. I don't think getting Moreno and Calafiori was wrong. They should have spent more. They should have also gone and got a number 9. But I think the mistake when it comes to prioritizing that money is I think so much faith was put in Odegaard and Martinelli getting back to that form of 2 seasons ago, scoring sort of 15 odd league goals each. I really believe that Arteta felt they would do that this year, and they haven't. And it's created this this ongoing and kind of massive debate. I'm not a massive fan of Luis Diaz. I think he's very good aesthetically on the eye. He's like a lot of wingers in the league. Looks very good, doing very little productively. So a lot of people from an eye test merchant perspective would say, oh, he's so much better than Elanga. Elanga delivers. Elanga scores goals. Elanga sets things up. Diaz, when he first joined Liverpool, the amount of times I'd see him and he'd hit the post, he'd just go wide or just go over. And you'd think, well, a little bit unlucky. He'll sharpen that up. But it hasn't really got better. He's had some purple patches where the goals go in, and then months where they don't. And remember, he's playing for one of the in the last 3 years, he's been playing for one of the best teams in England and one of the best in Europe. He's not playing for an inconsistent mid-table team with no clear direction of the football club. You know, he isn't playing for a team like Man United, who have been rudderless for over a decade. He's playing for Liverpool, who have been praised. You know, he's playing with brilliant midfielders, wonderful defenders, other very good attackers, and he's still inconsistent. If I was Arsenal, look, if it's a deal of like 30 million and he's coming in to be part of your attack, okay, maybe. But for me, I think you need. He ain't that much cheaper than Nico Williams. And I think you're better off going for a Nico Williams and giving him an opportunity to really thrive at a club like Arsenal than spending it on Luis Diaz. And